to Heavy Radio. I'm Paul Dempsey from Something for Kate. We're playing this weekend in Sydney at the Night at the Barracks event at North Head, Manly. It's going to be a pretty amazing location for an outdoor show, and we've got special guest Shannon James joining us as well, and we're really looking forward to it.
Beautiful, Paul. Thanks for joining us today, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So as you say, man, Something for Kate will be performing as part of the month-long event Night at the Barracks on Saturday, September 17, which is being held at Manly's North Head. So Night at the Barracks sounds like a pretty cool initiative, bro, but how much do you actually know about it?
I haven't been to the location before. I've had a look online. So I understand that it's the old Army barracks on North Head, so overlooking the headland into the harbour. So that's got to be a pretty spectacular location. And yeah, as you say, I think they've got shows out there every night for a month. So, we always just love every opportunity to play, somewhere different and interesting. We've played most of the clubs and theatres and halls and arenas in the country. So it's nice when someone puts on a show in a different location, and everyone, gets to have a different experience seeing the band.
For sure. And as we said, your performance is this Saturday night, mate. So what have you got planned for us for the show?
Well, we've been in rehearsal the last couple of nights, and it's a bit of everything from across our, whatever it is, it's 7 albums, 8 albums?
Yeah, one of the two.
Yeah, we've just done a bunch of shows, actually, the three of us playing our first record, because it's been the 25th anniversary this year of our first album. So we will be playing a fair bit of stuff from our first album, but also, a few things from our latest album and everything in between, and probably a couple of covers. And we've got our friends Adrian and Olivia who join us on, extra guitars and keyboards and stuff. So we're touring as a 5-piece. And, it's just, we're just itching to play. We haven't played in Sydney since earlier in the year. And like I said, we always really love the opportunity to do a different kind of show at a different location.
And you guys have been a band now for almost 30 years, so are you still looking at ways to change and improve your live show, or do you sort of have a method that works by now and you sort of stick to that?
No, it feels like it's always changing. After such a long time, it is, I guess you imagine that you'd sort of settle into a groove and things wouldn't change, but it feels quite the opposite for us. I feel like we're actually playing better as a band now than we ever have. I don't know, you continue to learn and you continue to figure things out, whether it's the way you're playing or the equipment you're using. I mean, just in the last couple of months, I've gone through this massive sort of, rabbit hole about the gear I use and everything from the way I set my amp to the pedals I'm using and the string gauge on my guitar and right, honestly, to the picks that I've been using. And I've just discovered all this completely new, different way of doing stuff, and I feel like I wish I could start over again now that I've just figured all this stuff out. I don't know why some things take 30 years to to learn, but it is a constant learning curve, and even after all that time, we never stop learning and trying to make things better and just trying to improve, on our kind of craft.
Mm-hmm. And it's being billed as a special one-off concert, mate. So does that mean that you've got nothing else really planned for the near future?
After this, there's actually there might be probably another show coming up later in the year in Melbourne. But we've pretty much done 2 national tours this year, so I'd say from here on there might just be the odd one-off event, festival type shows, and maybe into early next year, and then there'll be new material to work on.
Very good. So going back in history a bit, mate, like Something for Kate formed back in 1994. So what was the musical climate like back then that gave birth to the band, and where did you fit in initially?
It was very, guitar-driven bands, and sort of heavier music, I think, was more, breaking into the mainstream, and, I guess, more guitar-driven stuff was sort of the flavour of the day, I guess. And that's just sort of naturally, where we came from as people anyway. Clint and I grew up listening to metal and punk stuff, and everything from Slayer to Bad Religion or Fugazi or Sonic Youth or Carcass or whatever. We listened to the whole sort of range of heavy music, and that's the kind of music we were playing. And I guess that helped us at that time to sort of get the attention of some labels and stuff, and sign a deal. There were just a lot of, most of the bands around, most of the live music scene was dominated by, guitar-driven bands. But in terms of where we fit at the time, I mean, I don't know if we really fit anywhere because, like I say, we had an odd combination of tastes ourselves, and so, it was very noisy and abrasive kind of music, but at the same time there was always a strong melodic element to it. So, we were kind of playing loud, angry music, but sometimes with, kind of, I guess, real melodic hooks and stuff like that. So, we kind of stood apart a little bit, and I guess we sort of had a different attitude as well. Like, all we wanted to do was be a band and play shows, and we actually weren't really that ambitious about signing a record deal or trying to become some big success. For us, we were just really happy getting another gig and getting another gig after that. And then when we started to play interstate, we were just really excited about, maybe being able to just, play shows around the country. We didn't really imagine that it would go too far beyond that. We were pretty self-aware that, the things move in cycles and trends, and, we kind of thought that, maybe the whole, guitar thing would fall out of favour or be replaced by something else. So we kind of just stuck to our own thing about just, wanting to play gigs, and maybe the gigs would get bigger or smaller or whatever. Maybe we'd only make one album and then go and get real jobs or something. We didn't really know. So to still be, making music for a living nearly 30 years later is, was still a huge surprise to us, and something that we feel extremely fortunate about every day. We're always, we always feel very grateful that we've been able to, have a career in music in Australia. It's Australia doesn't have a massive population, so it's to make a living as any kind of artist in Australia can be challenging. So we feel very fortunate.
Yeah, very well said, mate. And you would have seen a lot of trends come and go in Australian music over the years, mate. So what is it, do you think, that keeps something for Kate relevant still 30 years later?
Well, I don't know how anybody defines, what's relevant and what isn't. I think really it just comes down to some people, really like something, and so they either keep liking it for a long time or eventually they grow tired of it. So I don't know about the question of relevance, but I think we've just managed to stay, engaged with our audience, and our audience has stuck by us, and I think that is because we have never tried to be something that we're not, and we've never tried to jump on board with any particular trend at any particular time. We've never consciously tried to mold our sound into something that might be, popular or might get played on any particular radio station or whatever. We do our thing, and we've always just sort of kept faith in that if we just go on doing our thing and being true to ourselves and true to what we want to do and not try to please anybody else, that ultimately it'll work out, because, enough people will like it. Some people won't like it. Not everyone will like the same thing at the same time. Some of our fans will still insist that our second album was our peak, or our fifth album was our peak, or our latest album was our peak. Everyone has their own favourite album, and not everyone likes every single thing that you do, and that's totally fine. That's totally normal. But, the important thing for us is that we don't, overreact and go, oh my God, why didn't, someone didn't like that, or someone didn't like that. ultimately, if we just do what we want to do and please ourselves so that we still love what we're doing, then there'll be enough people who will come along for the ride.
Cool. And your music has been described as guitar-based science fiction folk rock. Like, I don't even know what that means, but it sounds good.
Yeah, look, I mean, we kind of were joking with that because, there are so many ridiculous genres and sub-genres to describe music these days that, really, none of it really means anything. Yeah. I think you can pretty much just stick with the words guitar-driven, but even then, you're describing a million different bands. So, like I said, we just have faith that people out there can just hear something with their own two ears and decide whether they like it or not. And, this constant need to sort of label things and tell people what it is that it's like spoon feeding them, and we don't want to do that. We don't ever want to like spoon feed anybody, or try to convince them that they should like something for like people can make up their own minds.
Yeah. So what about the future, mate? What does the future hold for Southern for Kate?
Look, hopefully many, many more years to come of just, making new music and playing shows, and like I said, constantly learning and constantly discovering, new ways to do things and new sounds and new songs. That's what we love to do, and we don't feel like we have, done our best work. That always is sort of lying ahead somewhere in the future. So we just keep, hopefully moving towards that.
Beautiful. Paul, well, thanks very much for your time today, mate. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. You play this Saturday night, September 17th, at Night at the Barracks, which is in Manly. So get along and check it out.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for having me, Chris. Cheers.
My pleasure, brother. You take care, man. We'll catch up.
Okay, you too. See you later.
See you, mate.